Dear Mr. Hansel, a report from the Missing Research and Inquiry Service in Germany unhappily gives complete details regarding your son, Flight Sergeant Henry Ernest Hansel, and his crew. The aircraft crashed on the night of the 27th September 1943 about 1.5 miles south of Eberholsen in the forest. I hope that it may be some consolation for you to know that your gallant son's grave is in sacred care and keeping. May I extend to you my most sincere sympathy in your great loss.
Dear Ma, just a line letting you know that everything is fine and dandy with me, and I hope this finds you all at home the same. I am writing this letter in my dugout in the front line. It is not so bad here, only it has been raining these last few nights, so it is very muddy, but we hope to be relieved soon. But this winter has not been as bad as the last one, and I sure hope it's over soon.
My dear Emily, this has been a glorious day, but the wind is getting up now, and it looks like a rough night. I am not at all sure of the date, but I think it is Wednesday. Time passes so quickly that it is almost impossible to keep track of it. Yesterday Tommy, my observer, and I felt very brave. It was too misty to see our targets, so we started to look out for some Huns to have some fun with. Soon we saw one wretched lone Hun about 8,000 feet and directly above us, so we got ready and started to climb. When we got about 1,000 feet from him and everything was going strong, 5 more Huns appeared on the scene from nowhere. Talk about your coming down in a hurry. Believe me, we didn't stop at any small stations. We got down okay, but we had lots of excitement.
They pulled me out of the ranks and put me on the machine gun section, so I am here on a special course. We have got to get through it in 6 weeks, but it ought to be 6 months. We call it the Suicide Club. You know what they are, Jack. We are the first in advance and then cover retreat. They are awful short of machine gun men, as they killed them off so fast. I tried to get out of it, but I could not. Well, I don't care. I like the gun all right. It will fire 600 rounds a minute. That ought to get a few Turks. I am number 1 on the gun. I do the firing until they get me, and then number 2 takes my place. There are 6 of us to a gun. It weighs 68 pounds, with water in it, and the tripod weighs 48 pounds. I carried the gun 5 miles yesterday. They give you some hard marches with it on your back.
Dear Mother, I hope you are all quite well. We are having rather mild weather just now, but very dull. I think it is much colder here than it is in England, and I have a nice bright letter from Maggie yesterday. They seem to be doing pretty well there now. Christmas will soon be here now, and I hope that you will have a good one. I only wish I could be home to spend it with you.
Received your parcel a few days before one of the biggest schemes attempted ever by the combined Canadian, American, and British troops stationed in England. Doubtless you'll be reading all about this in your local paper soon. I might add that we've been out more than a week, and the scheme is still considered young. In your last letter you mentioned that my sisters hadn't received the letters I sent them, but I'm sure they will. They may be a little late as I brooded almost 3 weeks over them before I got them finished, but lady, let me tell you, they were masterpieces when they were finished. Let me thank you from the bottom of my heart for that parcel. It couldn't have been timed better. Your son, Nellie.
Somewhere in France, August 17, 1917. Dear sister and all, just a few lines to let you know that I am getting along fine and have pulled through my operation splendid, so the doctors tell me. I think Father Amora wrote you the other day and told you the news of my misfortune in being wounded with shrapnel in the right leg. It had to be taken off about the knee. I have a great deal to be thankful for I can tell you, Agnes, so do not worry about me. I am in the hospital in France yet, but will be leaving for England any day now.
It's a pleasure to talk to the staff and students of St. Peter's Catholic Secondary School on Remembrance Day again this year. I would like to thank Mr. Dino Zorzi for his kind invitation. I've been impressed with the videos that I've just watched of the combat scenes from the First and Second World War and listened to what the veterans wrote home as narrated by the students. Although I'm a veteran, I'm also the father of a veteran, Captain Retired Erica Sargent, RN, who went to St. Peter's for grade 9 and 10 before accompanying us on our tour in Ramstein, Germany in 2002. She joined the RCAF in 2006 and was deployed on a disaster relief operation in Haiti in 2010 as a registered nurse, and then deployed to Afghanistan in 2011. I would like to talk to you about the conditions that my daughter experienced during those two military deployments and what she wrote home to us, especially since Canada's longest war, Afghanistan, is now officially over. There's a big difference between the letters home a century ago and the instant communication today that includes pictures from in theater. This is a picture of my daughter in her combat uniform in Haiti. Some of you remember the devastating earthquake that destroyed the buildings in Haiti in August this year. Well, 11 years ago, there was another, larger one that shattered buildings in Port-au-Prince and Léogâmé, two large cities in the southwest side of Haiti, and killed 250,000 people. My daughter deployed there from Ottawa on 2 days' notice with a deployable hospital, which they set up and had operational within a week of the earthquake happening. While the hospital was being set up, patients needed to be attended to. The accommodations for the Canadian military personnel had to be set up, and they needed to be secure. Here are some pictures that were taken while she was there. Note the crude toilets and the rudimentary shower facilities. One morning, Erica got up early to be the first in the showers, and she found Haitians had scaled the walls and were having their showers. They also needed to feel clean and refreshed in the fresh water that they had there. They also worked in orphanages while they were down there. And this is a picture of some of the children that they treated there and made toys from rubber gloves that acted as balloons or soccer balls that children enjoyed playing with. Erica's medical team was in Léogâmé for 7 weeks in total. She told us that by the end of the second week, most of the casualties from the catastrophic earthquake had been treated and that they could have deployed back to Canada. However, for political reasons, they stayed there and became a regular medical clinic, treating common illnesses and cuts, as well as checking on casts and dressings of those who were wounded in the quake. 9 months after that deployment, she received her medal for Op Hestia from Canada's Governor-General, His Excellency David Johnston, at Rideau Hall on the 6th of December 2010. Once Erica was back to work in April of 2010, she contacted her career manager and asked to be deployed to Afghanistan. She was told that she would deploy with the American forces to Bagram Air Force Base in the north of Afghanistan. She spent 4 months in San Antonio, Texas, training with the Joint Trauma Transfer System there, and they tracked all of the combat injuries that occurred in Afghanistan until they had recovered from their wounds. This is a picture of everything that Erica had packed up to take with her to Afghanistan. 2 duffel bags and a backpack, and that included her military uniforms and equipment. The next picture is a picture of her international medical team. There's a nurse from Canada, medical personnel from the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force. What did she do with her spare time? She was required to work an 8-hour shift with the Joint Trauma Transfer System. However, she felt bored if she wasn't doing something, so she also volunteered to work in the emergency operating theater there. So when she could, she put on her scrubs, went down and volunteered with them in the operating room. Just note the differences in the working conditions here between what they experienced in Haiti and the permanent hospital set up in Afghanistan at Bagram Air Force Base. A bit of a funny story that she wrote home to us during the Canadian Thanksgiving. She writes this: Funny story, they actually had turkey in the serving line at the DFAC tonight, or dining facility, but it looked more like pork chops, which are kind of dry and taste a bit funny here. So I passed over them and got the fish instead. And then they had bread stuffing too, but it didn't look like Mom's stuffing. It kind of looked like pale meatloaf with the same consistency and everything. So I passed on that and the garlic mashed potatoes. Well, they're instant potatoes here, and I'm a potato snob, so I passed on that too. So then I sat down and Val joined me. She's the other Canadian nurse that works here. She asked me if I got the turkey. I told her I didn't see any turkey up there, and then she said, Erica, they made Thanksgiving dinner, especially for us, and you didn't get any? Well, lots of laughs. That's when I put it all together and realized that it was kind of like Thanksgiving, but I definitely didn't see that way when I was up there. Anyway, tonight it's surf and turf at the DFAC. It was not all work and no play. Erica also celebrated her 25th birthday over there. And here's a picture of some snow that came down. They didn't snow very often where they were, but when it did, it cleared the air. The trouble was, when the snow melted, it left a gooey, muddy residue everywhere around, and everybody had to clean their boots when they walked between buildings. This is a picture of her end of tour when she received her International Security Assistance Force Medal in Kabul from the senior Canadian officer there at the headquarters. And then she deployed back to Canada from Kabul via Germany. She was met in the airport in Ottawa by her military boss, workmates, and of course her parents. And this next picture shows her happy parents being so pleased to see her again as she was to see them. And this is the welcome home sign that we'd made up for her, so we could show it to her in the airport when she arrived. And finally, here's a picture of Erica's shadow box that contains mementos of her deployments to Haiti and Afghanistan. In conclusion, I would like to thank you for letting me share my daughter's correspondence from Haiti and Afghanistan with you. The instant communication helped us to know that she was safe and enjoying helping others over there. She made significant sacrifices while deployed overseas, especially when it came to her personal care and comfort. This year, due to COVID, we as a society are still being asked to sacrifice some of our freedoms in order to keep others safe. We have to do it for the common good, but these sacrifices are small when compared to the ones that our veterans make for all Canadians. Thank you very much for your attention this morning.